Now that we've gone over all the fundamentals, let's go through an example from start to finish and you can see how we put it all together. The example part I'd like to make is this part on the screen. Basically it's a U-shaped part with a hole that goes through the center and it's got some filleted edges on it. Remember, when we start thinking about how we're going to create our part in SolidWorks, we want to think about it in steps. We're going to create feature and we're going to add or remove material from that base feature. So in this case, I'm looking at this and I've got kind of this overall shape and it's kind of got this overall width. So I think I'm going to start with an extrusion from the side here. So let's start creating this part. We're going to do a file, new, part, okay. So I'm going to select my right plane, go up to sketch, sketch, rotates around. Now I'm going to create that basic shape from the side. And that was really a rectangle here. And we had a circle on that too. Now one of the things that you can do with this circle is I want this circle to go from this point all the way to this point. So actually another snap is a midpoint. And if you can see the yellow here, there's a yellow line with a dot in the middle of it. That is called our midpoint. So it actually will snap to the midpoint of this line. So if I click there, put the center there and come out, since we're at the midpoint, when I go to one of these lines, it lines up on both sides here. Now in this case, it's added a tangent relationship in here already. Now we talked about this type of shape being intersecting, and we don't want an intersecting sketch. So we need to trim some of this stuff off. So let's go to trim entities. We don't want this middle line, so we're going to click and drag across that middle line. We don't want this lower line, so we're going to click and drag along that lower line. So now that I have this shape here, now I need to go in and start dimensioning it. So I'm going to do a smart dimension. I want this width to be 3 inches. And then I want the height from here to the center, I'm going to make that 2 inches. So there's my shape. You can see my sketch is not fully defined. There's still some sections that are blue, and I don't know exactly why that is. So I'm going to go through here and try to figure this out. So on my blue section, with everything deselected, hit the escape key. I'm going to go right over here to this edge, and I'm going to start pulling out. And now, okay, so now I can see this, and I can see that that circle and that edge are not tangent. So I need to add a relationship in here. So I'm going to actually go in here and I'm going to hit Control Z and move that back into place. Now I'm going to add a relationship. So I'm going to go down, add relationship. My arc is already selected, so it puts that in there, and I need to select my line there. So I got my arc and my line, and I want to make that tangent. And now we're good. We can click OK, hit escape. So now with my sketch fully defined, I'm going to exit my sketch, click exit sketch. I'm going to click on my features. Now I'm going to extrude this a certain distance. So now I'm going to click on my sketch or make sure it's highlighted, which it is. Extrude boss base. And now I want to extrude that 3 inches. So I'm going to hit 3, enter. Shows me an example, or shows me a preview. Click OK. Hit escape, deselects everything. I'm going to hit the space bar, isometric view. There's my first part. That's my first step, my first feature. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, we had this cut out. This was in the middle. So I'm going to cut this material out in the middle. So how am I going to do that? What I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch on this surface right here. So I'm going to click on that surface, click on sketch, click on sketch. I want to rotate to be normal to my sketch plane. So I'm going to hit the space bar and hit normal to. I want to cut this material out. So it's going to be a cut. So I'm going to make a big rectangle right in here. Just like that. I'm going to cut all that material out. Now I need to dimension this. I am interested in this width from this edge, from that edge. I'm going to make that 0.375. And then I want to be this edge to this edge, because I want to make sure I maintain a certain thickness there, 0.375. And now on the bottom down here, I want to add a dimension from here to there and make that 0.5 inches. Now you can see I've got everything fully defined, well, defined except for this top edge. And if I pull that top edge around, it can move. But I'm not really too concerned about it. All I want is that top edge to be outside of my part, and I'm good. So in this case, I'm going to say that's good enough. I'm going to hit escape, exit my sketch. I'm going to rotate this around so you can see it. If you take a look at this, this sketch is actually not necessarily right on the part. It's kind of hanging out there in space. This is perfectly fine because when I go to use this sketch to cut, it's going to cut my whole part. And since I'm removing material, it doesn't matter that it's really outside of my part. So in this case, let's go through and cut that. So I'm going to go to Features, Extrude Cut. I have my sketch highlighted or selected. I'm going to click on Extrude Cut. Now with this one, I want to go all the way through the whole thing. So I'm going to click on the, instead of blind, I'm going to go through all. And I'm going to rotate this around a little bit so you can see it. So it goes from the front all the way through. So in this case, I'm going to say OK, and it cuts it out. Hit escape, it deselects everything. The next thing I want to do is put the holes through each of the sides. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, where can I sketch that? Well, I'm going to sketch it right on this face. So I'm going to select that face. Again, dimensions come up. I don't really care about that. All I want is that surface selected. I'm then going to go to Sketch, click on Sketch to get into the sketch. My screen does not rotate around. Again, I'm going to go and hit the space bar, click on Normal 2. Now I've got that view. Now I want to put a circle in here. So I'm going to click on my circle. And I'm not going to try to put it in right where I want it. I'm just going to put a circle in here. And sometimes I'll put it not close to where I want so it doesn't snap into the wrong location, or put in there where I think it's right, but it's not right. I just put it in here. I can tell it's distinctly off center, but I want it to be exactly on center. So I'm going to hit escape here, deselect my circle. I'm going to add a relationship. So click on my sketch, display, delete relations. And I'm going to go down and add relation. So I want to click on my circle and this outer edge. And what I want is a concentric. So I'm going to click on concentric here. It snaps it right in. So those two circles, or that arc and circle, are now concentric. I don't have to dimension to get it in the right spot. I just put that relationship in there. I click OK. Hit escape. My circle's still blue. I'm missing something. Dimension. Smart dimension. Click on my circle. Come up. It shows diameter. So I'm going to say diameter is going to be 0.75. There's my diameter. I can say OK or hit escape. I'm going to exit my sketch. I'm going to rotate my part around here a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. There's my sketch on that surface. My sketch is highlighted. I'm going to click over to my features. I'm going to do an extruded cut. And again, I don't want to blind. I want to go through all. So I'm going to go through all of it. Hit OK. Now I've got my hole going all the way through my part. So now I'm only missing the fillets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit escape, deselect everything, click on my fillet. And again, I want a constant radius. The diameter or the radius of the fillet is going to be 0.25. I'm going to hit enter. Now with this blue box selected, that's asking me what edges do I want to fillet. I'm going to take this edge right here, click on that edge. Since I have full preview showing, it's going to give me an example of that, or show me what it looks like. Now I want to get this other edge right over here. One is if I can highlight it through here, I can click on it. But if I can't get to it, and I want this lower edge, let's say I can't get to this back edge. I can get to it here, but let's say I can't get to it. What I need to do is click on my rotate, rotate it around so I can see that edge, click that off, and then I can highlight that edge there. And it shows me my preview. Those are all the edges I want to be filleted. Click OK. I'm going to go and do an isometric view, spacebar, isometric view. There you can see our part. That's our final part. Now the last thing you're going to want to do